Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of UA Eats. I'm UA, and we are long overdue for another steak restaurant on this channel. A lot of people had recommended that I try one place, and they say that this is hands down the best steak in all of New York, Smith Wollensky. Now, unlike a lot of the iconic steak restaurants in New York and in Manhattan, Smith Wollensky is a little bit more on the recent end. Well, since 1977, so it's not exactly new, but some of these iconic New York steakhouses span 100 years or more. And the building has really cool architecture. It's a really beautiful building. Kind of gives me like a fancy restaurant and like a tavern feel. Now, Smith Wollensky may be a bit of a newcomer as far as iconic steakhouses go. And it's crazy, like in New York, there's such a culture and history of steakhouses that 1977, almost 50 years ago, is a newcomer amongst all the iconic steakhouses. Like, it just shows how old some of these steakhouses are. But ever since this place burst onto the scene, 1977, a lot of people say that this is the best place, up there with Keens, Gallaghers, and all the best steakhouses in New York City. So, we haven't done steak in a while now, so let's readjust to the mean and let's get us some steak, why don't we, at Smith Wollensky. Let's check it out. Alright guys, so we are seated now at the famous and iconic Smith Wollensky. Nice restaurant, so we'll take off the Eagles hat for this. I may have just gotten seated, but let me tell you, this is a beautiful restaurant. I mean, this whole place has a really cool vibe, really posh vibe. Tuxedoed suited waiters, really nice sophisticated atmosphere, some Frank Sinatra playing in the background, giving you that classic New York vibe. And just like other steakhouses like Gallaghers, they push these carts around. You know, those carts always kind of reminded me of like dim sum carts in Chinese dim sum restaurants, but of course fancier and more posh. White tablecloth, great decorations on the walls, of course what could be more fitting than a painting of a cow at a steakhouse? Let's take a look at the menu, because I can't wait. Okay, so they got a big menu book here, although these are all wine selections, I believe. A whole robust wine list, and this whole book is nothing but wines, and I'm sure they're all great. Although I don't really drink, so we will, hold off on this, especially since we are here for lunch, so it's a bit early for that anyways. And then, what we really want is this menu here, and this menu comes in like a picture frame, and it looks like it's seen plenty of love. Yeah, I think this actually is a picture frame. Look at this. We're here for lunch, so this is a lunch menu, so they have some lunch specials here. Of course, very common for there to be raw oysters and clams at a classic New York steakhouse. They got some good appetizers too. Of course, there has to be a wedge salad at a steakhouse at a classic New York steakhouse. And I hear good things about these hash browns. But of course, we're gonna zero in on the steak selections, and yeah, they say that this place makes some of the best steak around. So I just asked the waitstaff, and they said that the price difference is the filet mignon, the $57 is an 8-ounce filet mignon, and the $64 is a 12-ounce. So, a typical New York price, not super cheap, not super expensive, but $64 for a 12-ounce, yeah, I guess that's about right, to be honest. And I forget what the smaller sirloin was. I think, was it 17 and 20 ounce? I don't really remember. But then they have a bone-in rib steak, and I hear good things about the Cajun rib steak as well. Tempted to go with the porterhouse for 2, although it's just me, so I don't know if I could knock that out. And of course, a classic prime rib. But let me show you something neat. They have winter specials, so even better lunch specials right now. These winter specials, freed from the cage of the picture frame. Now they have a 16-ounce filet mignon. So remember how I said that $64 filet mignon was 12 ounces? So they have a 16-ounce filet mignon for $65. What to get? I can't decide. But you know what? Cajun ribeye is not something I typically see. I know they have it at Wolfgang's, and I've always wanted to try it. So let's try a Cajun ribeye. And I was gonna go with a sirloin, but you know what? They seem to be really pushing these filet mignons, and maybe they're solid. So let's go with a winter special, and let's try the 16-ounce filet mignon, why don't we? And of course, a hash browns as well. So
ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Please,
I'm gonna try a few things. So I want to try the Cajun rib steak.
That's good. How do you like them?
Medium rare.
Very nice, yeah. That's spicy, marinated Cajun.
Can't wait. And then I want to try this 16-ounce filet mignon. medium rare also.
So you want both? Cajun?
Yeah, whatever I can't finish, I'll just take home.
And 16 ounces?
16 ounce.
How you like? Medium rare same?
Medium rare, yes.
Any sides?
Yeah, I will try the...
Hash brown is good, if you like.
Hash brown is good?
The hash brown is good.
Okay, I'll do the hash brown. Awesome.
That's my favorite.
All right, can't wait.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right, we got a few items, and it sounds like, based on the waitstaff, it sounds like we ordered the right things. So let's see how it turns out. As we always do on this channel, let's review the bread, because they gave us complimentary bread. So let's see how this butter is, which came with a little Smith Wollensky butter cap. So first, let's grab one of these, and then let's grab some of this. Why don't we? Let's put their bread and butter to the test. Looks like a solid spreadable butter. The butter is very nice. The butter is very, very smooth and very, very spreadable. The bread is a little on the hard end, if I can be honest. I don't think it's like stale or anything. I don't think it's anything to do with freshness. I think the way they made it is just a little bit tough and very chewy. Oh, the butter is excellent. Definitely up there with the great steakhouse butters I've ever had. It's smooth and spreadable. Like, I know it doesn't look smooth in this picture. It looks almost like it's, you know, frozen or something, but trust me, it's very, very smooth. It doesn't look it, but trust me, it is a smooth butter. Let's see if it goes with this pretzel steak at all. See, it's spreadable. I could just dip it like a nacho. They are definitely making this pretzel steak in-house, or at least getting it from a good bakery nearby. I mean, this is a really solidly baked piece of pretzel. Nice and fluffy on the inside, but with the perfect amount of chew to it, like an authentic German pretzel. Just one more bite while we wait for our food.
Sir, hot plate, super hot plate, okay?
Sounds good, thanks.
That's the bone-in filet mignon and the bone and hash browns.
Okay, sounds good. Everything looks great. Okay, guys, all our food has arrived and everything looks pretty darn good. So we ordered a little bit more than we typically do. You know, just wanted to show you many things. This is the bone-in ribeye with a beautiful looking sear all over. This is the winter special bone-in filet mignon. And this is the, I hear, highly hyped up and recommended by the server, the hash browns. And that ribeye steak just looks absolutely incredible. I mean, just look at the sear, the seasoning, the delicious fat all around it. This section by the bone is absolutely going to be amazing as well. This filet mignon too just looks like it has amazing sear all over. Too often filet mignon just kind of looks like, you know, a gray piece of steak, like basically like a meat hockey puck, but this looks very appetizing. And the hash browns look incredible. Just look at all the crispy bits throughout. Soft starch, hopefully inside. Crispy, fluffy starch all the way throughout, hopefully. Like a potato oily sponge in like a good way. All right, I can't wait. Let's eat it while it's hot. Let's take a bite. First, let's see if there's a sear on both sides. Okay, not a sear on both sides, but it does look delicious. All right, that is a delicious, juicy looking steak if I've ever seen one. So first a bite of the Cajun ribeye. Cheers, guys. Bite number 2. Super juicy and fatty looking ribeye. I know not everyone likes meat this fatty. I kind of dig it. It's very, very good. But let me tell you, this is not going to be for everyone. And even for me, it's a little bit intense. For me, my favorite thing about this steak is the meat itself. The quality of the meat is great. It's got great flavor, great fatty flavor, great what I presume to be dry aged flavor. Like, they really brought out the great natural beefy flavor of this meat, and it is just so tender. The sear on it is also excellent. But like I said, this is not going to be for everyone, and to be honest, for me, I don't think I will be a regular here, mostly because, I mean, just looking at the steak, I mean, just look at how like greasy and oily it is. It tastes good, and if you like greasy, buttery, oily meat, you're gonna like it, but in this case, it's a little bit too much even for me. Like, ribeye is already a very fatty, very, very marbled piece of meat, so it's already like a fat bomb when it comes to steaks. And in this case, they took a fatty steak like ribeye, and then they further cooked it in all this butter and grease, and then like the ribeye kind of exudes its meat juices while it cooks, and it kind of makes it even fattier from the fat from the ribeye steak itself. It's a little greasy, and it's a little buttery, and it's a little intense, if I can be honest. Like, to me, it tastes great, but I have to really be in the mood for it. Like, I think for me, after eating this, I'm gonna really want to hit up a salad for dinner, or maybe I'll have eaten salad the day before to justify eating this, because it does taste good. I do want to stress the quality of the meat is excellent and has great flavor. Like, they've got a good quality of meat supplier. The sear is excellent, and their meat supplier is great, and I love the Cajun seasoning. It's just so greasy and buttery and oily that, I don't know, like, I almost wish that they didn't add all that butter at the end. Like that Ruth's Chris Peter Luger style, cooking it in its butter style. I feel like the meat is good enough on its own not to need that. So for me, it's absolutely good, but not my favorite ribeye so far. But it's still ribeye steak, of course. So before we move on, let's take another bite of this before we move on to the filet mignon. Just beautiful, delicious meat. Still deliciously pink, and, you know, still an amazing steakhouse overall. Still not bad, and I guess I see why people like this place. To me, it's just a little bit too greasy and buttery, but if you like this style, you can sort of think of this as like a better Ruth's Chris. Let's move on now, and let's try the filet mignon, which hopefully will be lighter and less butter bomb. Okay, let's take a look at the filet mignon, and it looks deliciously pink on the inside. I asked for medium rare. I think it might be more medium than medium rare, but let me know what you guys think. So let's try this winter special. The filet mignon's pretty good. Like I said earlier, the quality of their meat is excellent, and this filet mignon, no exception. Okay, that might be more medium than medium rare, but it's still juicy, delicious, and maybe it went over the medium rare for me because maybe I ate the ribeye first, so it kind of rested longer, if you know what I mean. This filet mignon is just so tender, it's got a great sear, and if you like filet mignon, I guarantee you're gonna like this. It is kind of lacking a little bit of flavor, like it could be a little bit more seasoned. Now, the ribeye is almost like a flavor explosion, like there's almost too much flavor going on here. Filet mignon, you know, it's not really known for strong flavor, you know, it's known for not having any marbling, like it's tender and extremely lean, that's why it's so expensive. But due to that no marbling, not too much flavor on this, and it really could have benefited from a little bit of seasoning, maybe some sort of Cajun rub as well, but Smith and Wollensky Steak Sauce. So let's see if this goes perfectly with the filet mignon. Let's see if this steak sauce kind of jazzes it up a little bit. Interesting. To be honest, this steak sauce is not really for me. I would say this is one of the less good steak sauces I've had at all the steakhouses I've been to on this channel. It kind of has like, I don't know, like a bit of a strange aftertaste, like a bit of a pre-processed weird aftertaste. Like it kind of tastes like Worcestershire sauce, but like while that's a common ingredient in sauces and marinades, it's like a very strong, overwhelming Worcestershire flavor and kind of like a bit of like a molasses flavor. Almost a little bit of like a ketchup flavor. I mean, let's take a look at some of these ingredients, why don't we, on this steak sauce. Tomato puree, okay, that does not surprise me. And yes, right there, molasses. So yeah, the steak sauce here, you know, I would steer away from it if you can. I am not really a big fan of this steak sauce at all, to be honest. But it is time now to try the final item, the hash browns, which were heavily recommended. So let's dive right in. Well, look, they really are like home fries or something. Like the potato chunks are like falling apart as I'm trying to scrape it. I thought it would be like one cohesive unit. Okay, let's give it a try. You know, not bad, but if I can be honest, still not my favorite. I think compared to any non-iconic New York steakhouse, you would be satisfied with this. I mean, it's still objectively pretty good, but kind of similar to the Cajun ribeye, it's a little oily, it's a little greasy, you know, and oil and fat and grease taste good, but, you know, this is like a little bit too much, I think. It's greasy to the point where, you know, I was excited to eat these crispy bits, but when you eat it, while they are crispy and delicious and charred, you also kind of feel like you're eating like an oil sponge, like you eat like these mouthfuls of grease, and when you eat fried potatoes, you really want them to be crispy and not like wet and oily. I mean, you know, we've all eaten like limp fries before, you know, where the oil temperature was not quite right, and you know, they're fried potatoes, you know, so they're only ever gonna be so bad, but an oily, soggy French fry is usually slightly off-putting to everyone, so kind of similar concept here. I mean, as you can hear, there's definitely crunch, but then there's also that oil and grease, and if they could dial back on that, it would be perfect. But guys, we're gonna hold off on this and take this all to go. I'm gonna knock out a bit more of these steaks, and then we'll step outside for some final thoughts. Hey guys, so I just finished eating at Smith Wollensky and, you know, stepping outside to share my final thoughts. I thought Smith Wollensky was okay. Like, I thought compared to most steakhouses around the US and the world, I thought it was generally good, but I didn't think it was like spectacular, and I didn't think it was great. I could definitely see why people like it. I mean, I definitely see the appeal, don't get me wrong. Like, if you really like butter and you really like that fatty, buttery flavor, then you'll think it's great. Like I said, it's kind of like Ruth's Chris, or to some extent Peter Luger. To be honest, it wasn't really my thing. I mean, I felt like they had a good thing going with the quality of their meat, and I felt like it was just way too smothered in butter and grease. I felt like the butter and the oil and the grease, it kind of was overkill, and it kind of masked and almost ruined the meat itself, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like when I eat a good steak, I really want to be able to taste the delicious aged meat. I don't want like the butter to just completely be doused and covering up all of the flavor of the meat itself. Like, if I'm just gonna douse it in butter anyways, then why do I need to eat a ribeye steak? I mean, ribeye steak is expensive, it's a pricey cut, it's an aged piece of meat if it's a good steakhouse, and it's already plenty fatty and marbled on its own. Like, if I'm gonna add such a butter bomb to it, then, you know, I don't really see the point of eating ribeye, if that makes sense. So it's all good. I mean, I definitely see the appeal, I definitely see why people like it and have it as their favorite steakhouse, but not for me personally. I find it a little bit overhyped, at least according to my opinion and according to my taste. To me, I still prefer some other steakhouses, like, you know, Keens, Gallaghers, St. Anselm's. And if you like that cooked in butter style of steak, I recommend Wolfgang's. Wolfgang's does that broiled in butter style, you know, from Peter Luger, and it's great. It's a good balance and it's not overkill. But anyways, guys, I think that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. We were overdue for another steak video, so always glad to eat steak. What do you guys think of Smith Wollensky? Do you think it's one of your favorite steakhouses in New York? And what's your favorite steakhouse in New York or anywhere you are in the world? Let me know in the comments, because great minds eat alike. If you like my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. That way you stay up to date whenever I post another video. I'm gonna hit the road with my yummy steak leftovers. So until next time, I'll see you later.